Good morning. Welcome to another episode. I am doing my famous level of multitasking, which is good because what it's going to do is make me only talk for half an hour because I'm setting the bike to 30 minutes. And here we go. I'd like to just start off kind of explaining why I write and why I talk. You know, basically, the things that I talk about are things that, like, I pretty much just have ideas about, and it's not super clear in my head. And how I get things clear in my head is talk about them. I talk about them with myself. I talk about them with others, multiple others. I have a lot of different friends, and I like that because by bouncing ideas off of each one, I get a lot of different information that my brain can process, and I can kind of figure out how I feel about it. But I love having other people's perspective. Now, what I'm going to talk about is something that is going to be, I think I've talked about this. I write because I have a really good filter when I write, which is why sometimes when people who know me read what my articles, they really have a hard time believing that I wrote it because it's quite different. I'm able to filter in a way that I'm not able to filter my talk, my speech. But I like my wild card. I like the fact that I don't always know what I'm going to say. And I'm a talker. I talk a lot, obviously. So my talker and my writer are two aspects of my personality. I'd like to say my talker is more ego-driven and my writer is more soul-driven, which is why my writing tends to just be a little more, and I still swear and I still am funny. I don't lose that aspect of myself, but my writings are very linear. I'm usually presenting an argument. But today I want to talk about something that one of my friends mentioned, because I really don't know what to think about it. But I think that it's something I need to kind of mess around with in my brain. So it's going to be hard to talk about because how it came up was something that happened at work that needs to remain confidential for the protection of me and everybody involved. So that's really all I'll say about that. But basically what happened was I was in a situation where I made a really bad judgment call. And, I talked about a bit about identities in my last podcast, and, I just talked about my writer versus my talker. These are all identities that I have. And they have different traits. They play off of one another. And sometimes I let parts of my identity kind of run amok and I don't even realize it. And in this particular case, an identity I like to refer to as the jester or the joker, because I have a pretty warped sense of humor, got the better of me. And I ended up making just a really bad judgment call. I did it in jest. I honestly thought I was being funny, and other people did not at all. And I wound up in a very serious situation where I was clearly in the wrong, and I did what needed to be done. But it just left me thinking about, how do I want other people to perceive me? And what bothered me about the whole situation was that until it was presented to me the way it was presented to me, it didn't cross my mind for 2 seconds that anybody could read it any other way than what I had intended. Now that's interesting. I think we all do that, right? To some extent, some people are able to say, okay, well, if I put this out there, this kind of personality type is going to take it this way. This other kind of personality type might take it that way. And they're able to filter like that. I assume, wrongly, admittedly, that everybody knows me. They know my personality type. They know that I'm a good person, but I like to take the piss. In this case, I overstepped a boundary. But that's what I want to talk about today is boundaries. And my inability to either establish them or recognize the boundaries of others. I'm not sure why, but for whatever reason, I tend to tramp all over boundaries. There's only a few people where I'm actually able to say, nope, I'm not going to say that. I can tell that that's going to bother them. But that's, like I said, that's rare. And I think, unfortunately, this harmless identity of the Joker, I used to think it was harmless. I think that aspect of my ego has caused a lot more damage than I realize. Because I think everything's a joke. I know that I never mean anything, mean by what I say. But other people don't know that. They don't know me the way that I know me. They haven't spent 31 years in this body with me. They don't know my intention. They don't understand my personality. And for me to assume that they do is something that I'm actually going to talk about in an upcoming blog article about expectations. And the expectations we set for ourselves and for others. And how pretty much all expectations are bullshit and will only serve to hurt you. Again, whether you're setting them for yourself or for someone else, doesn't matter if it's a friend, a family member, a partner, a child, a coworker, whatever relationship you could ever think of. Setting expectations of anybody is a one-way street to disaster, basically. But anyway, that'll be a written article because I really want to drive my point home on that one and install that filter that I can use when I'm writing and not when I'm talking. But anyway, things came close at work. And at the end of the day, I was lucky. And I felt very grateful for the outcome. And it made me appreciate what I have. It's easy to bitch about where you work, right? It's easy to say, oh, I hate my job. Everything would be great if I had a job that I liked or if I got paid more. Guess what? That shit's never coming. Unless you're truly unhappy, and then you need to change it. But do you ever wonder that we just want to change things because we're uncomfortable and we don't know why? So we think, oh, well, if I change this, it'll get better. If I change that, it'll get better. Chances are what you need to change is in your heart and not in your head. And what happened to me really woke that up in me. It made me see that I have a support network that's both wider and more robust than I ever imagined. So there's two components here. There's me witnessing my behavior through the eyes of someone else, and I did not like it. I did not like what I saw. And two, profound gratitude for the support network that I have managed to build. And interestingly, these things are two sides of the same coin. Because on the one hand, I think, oh my God, how could I be perceived this way? I'm not mean. I just take the piss. I'm not doing it to be mean. I thought people knew me. I never thought that people would think I could be malicious in this way. But then, with the friends and the support, I see no. There are people who do see me for who I am, who do know that I'm a kind, caring person. It would never mean to hurt someone else intentionally. And they're willing to go to bat for me. They're willing to stick up for me. They're willing to speak on my behalf. And that meant a lot to me. Because trust me, people, when I say I am totally aware of my personality, okay? Like I said, I've lived in this body for 31 years. Throughout those 31 years, I've gone through 2 transformations. The first one took a long time because that was the big one. The second one was very recent. It had a lot to do with my emotions and accepting my emotions. And that was my second transformation, happened very recently. And it hurt. And it was painful and it sucked. I think if you listen or read, you'll figure out what that transformation did. And I'm only grateful that all worked out for the best. But it was not pleasant. But to grow spiritually, these things have to happen. And I know there's going to be some of you out there that say, grow spiritually and not even understand what I mean. That's okay. That's perfect. Wherever you're at is perfect, because all I mean by spirituality is accepting who you are and loving yourself. That's it. That's all. And it sounds so easy to accept yourself, accept you, accept your strengths, accept your weaknesses. But it's not. It's not easy. A lot of people say they do, but they don't. Not really. They don't have unconditional love for themselves. Anyway, I digress. That's a soapbox that I gotta climb down off of, try to stay focused. Anyway, when it was all said and done, a person in that company who means a lot to me called me in to talk a little more, and after what I had just gone through, I was still a little, the cortisol levels were high, I'll tell you. Cortisol is a stress hormone, if you didn't know. Makes you gain weight on your hips and your ass. Not a pleasant hormone to have surging through your body. That's why we tend to get fat when we stress out for long periods of time. Anyway, cause heart damage. Okay, the biologist to me is getting ahead of itself. Anyway, so this meeting was very different. And it meant a lot to me, because basically what I was told is that I was being given a second chance, that my indiscretions were not going to, in their eyes, be carried further, that they were letting the matter go and go completely. And that meant a lot to me, because I would never want to damage my reputation. And I understood, I pretty much assumed that from what I had done that would, and it has in fact, with some people, damage my reputation. I can't focus on that. All I can focus on is the positive. But throughout this conversation, what was interesting was it took a turn to my blog. And they mentioned that they thought I was a good writer, and that they could tell I had been through a lot. Like I said, my writing portrays a very different aspect of Summer than my podcast. I think that's why I like to do both mediums. You're getting 2 aspects of my personality. And I think that's important. I think it's important to exercise both of them. But I had a friend there with me, and they chimed up and said, yeah, proudly, yes. She likes to express herself. And I just kind of sat there, quiet, looking back and forth, saying, is this happening? It was just surreal. Like, I felt so complimented and so supported, because what was clear to me was they needed me to be the professional that I need to grow into. I need to rein in that joker, because she hurt somebody. And that's not okay. It's not okay. It's just not. Because what I want for myself is to only put out positive energy into this universe, in whatever form that takes. there's enough people spewing negative energy into our environment, and I'm not going to be one of them. And the thought that that's what I had done literally made me physically ill. It's not something I'm willing to do. So I was very grateful for the experience. It showed me a lot. Because like I said, this person said, we know what we hired. My personality comes out of me like fucking projectile vomit. I can't hide it, and I don't try to, because it'll scare away the people who can't handle it, and it'll draw in the people who find that they like it for whatever reason. Probably they just want to be around a crazy person, I am who I am, and I love who I am, but I never want to hurt anybody, ever. If it can be avoided, I tell people the truth, and sometimes that hurts, but I do that because I believe that telling the truth is the only way to honor and respect somebody. I never do it to hurt them. I act with an intention of love, always, to everybody. And sometimes my joker gets a little carried away, and that principle gets compromised. That's what happened recently. But what was interesting is they made it clear that they want me to be myself. They knew who they hired, because I am that crazy personality at work that kind of peps up the lab, that I'm the high energy ball that comes in and just kind of ramps everybody up. And I love that. I love that I can do that. I love doing that. I don't like the days where I come in feeling like crap and I bring everybody down with me, because basically what happens is whatever I'm feeling, I infect people like a virus. I've known this about myself for a long time, and I used to be mean. I used to be very, very, very mean to people because I thought it was funny, and I was hurting inside, and I wanted other people to hurt, and I used that power for evil. Not proud of myself, but this is why we grow spiritually. During my first transformation, I committed to a life of love. I kept it easy for myself for the first 3 years because I stayed completely alone. It was easy to love people from a distance. It's not so easy, where things get complicated when you add people back into your life and you try to practice your principles. That's what I'm doing now, and I'm working them hard. I grew a little more, and the fact that I even did this makes me think, okay, whoa, we're in a ditch. We need to get back to the middle, which is kind of what brings me to all this is, it's about boundaries. What that person was saying in that meeting is that they need me to be me, but they need me to set boundaries. And that didn't occur to me until I talked to yet another friend afterwards. And here's a wonderful woman who has a completely different aspect on life. And she says, Summer, you need to respect people's boundaries, but since you don't set any for yourself, you don't recognize boundaries. You don't know boundaries. You have no boundaries, which may work for you, but you have to respect and recognize the boundaries of others. And that just, you ever get that feeling like someone just slapped you across the face with what they said? You hear the truth. That's what happens when you hear the truth, and your soul immediately recognizes it as something significant. And that's what happened to me yesterday. I got thinking, oh, my brain just started going nuts. Holy shit, Summer. It's true. You have no boundaries. And I don't know why. I am just such an open person that I do. And there are definitely times in my life where I would benefit from setting some boundaries and saying, no, I'm going to stick up for myself. I don't want to do that. But I think my lack of boundaries has something to do with, I'm a chronic people pleaser. I just want to please. And if there's something that I can do, even though it may be out of my comfort zone a little, I'll do it to make someone else happy. That's not good. Because what you end up doing in the process is creating resentments against yourself and against the person who you're compromising your boundaries for. It may start small, but if you continue to do it, it will build. And pretty soon, you will hate that person, even if they're your partner, or your child, or your mother, or father, or sister, whatever they are, they're your friend. If you compromise your own boundaries for people, you will eventually come to hate them for it, and you'll come to hate yourself as well. So I got thinking, do I have boundaries? I think I do, but I don't necessarily recognize where they are. And the weird thing is, when she said that, I got a very clear picture in my mind of me standing on this huge grass field. And I thought in that moment, well, it's no wonder I can't stay, balanced. I can't stay in the middle of the road because I've never set up a road. I have a field to wander around in, and I'm constantly going in the wrong place. I'm constantly in an extreme, off of one rail or the next. And I think establishing some boundaries, some lines, some cones, a fence, whatever, to say, okay, that's where that side is. This is where this side is. Walk between them. Stay balanced. Stay in the middle. This is just what I'm envisioning. It's going to take me a while to understand what those boundaries are and how to walk between them. But I have a clearer picture in my mind now than I did before. But most importantly, this is not about my boundaries. When I write, I usually think, how will someone who reads my blog perceive this post? I don't know if it's become clear to the people who read my blog, but I will avoid using the word you at all cost, because I find that word to be accusatory and patronizing. When you read self-help books, and all you hear is, you can do this, you can beat anxiety, depression, anger, insert whatever, codependency, any myriad of fucking problems that we have in this life. You can beat it, and here's how you do it. And it's like, you're not reading that book because you feel like you can do it, right? You're reading that book because you're fucking desperate for help. Oh, thanks for tuning up the radio, guys. You're desperate for help, and you're lost, and you have no idea what to do. So to say you can do it, in that moment, yes, it can be very uplifting if you actually believe you can do it. But I don't know about you guys, but when I'm reading that shit, I can't see the sun anymore. I'm down. I'm behind the clouds. And that you, who can do it, has been defeated. And she doesn't feel like she can do shit. And that's why I write my blog articles from the perspective of we. They. Not you. Because listen, you're not in it alone. No matter how alone you feel, you're not in it alone. For one, you have me. Whatever that means to you. I'm always willing to listen and to bounce ideas off of somebody. I don't care what their problem is. I've seen some shit, and I've gotten through it, and I can help other people, and that's what I try to do with my writing and with this stupid podcast. I want to help people because my eyes are open. My oxygen mask is secure, and I'm willing to help other people put on theirs because I need people to wake up. You are never alone. It's never you trying to do something. It's we. It's they. We all have a support network. I don't know how I got off. Why are we talking about boundaries? Anyway, this is important. You're not alone. The second you wake up to that fact, you're going to be better off. I know that was my saving grace in this whole situation. That, and I hate to admit.
Hey folks,
had to cut a little part of this out because it wasn't appropriate. So I'm cutting it out, and I hope you enjoy what you're listening to. But it woke me up to the fact, boundaries. And again, I don't know what those boundaries are yet. But I know that I should build towards working them. Working the personalities and identities that I've played out for myself. That'll be a challenge. Ironically, before all this happened, the humble chemist was one I've been working on. And, I can say I'm the humble chemist, but I wasn't. I can tell you now, I'm a more humble chemist than I was yesterday. I can tell you that for sure. So these things happen. And they happen for a reason. And it's important to recognize the lesson instead of saying, oh my God, I can't believe this was done to me. Or, I could blame someone else. I can't believe they said blah, blah, blah. I thought they knew me. Look, this was me. I hit that publish button. No one else. That was me. Whatever happened afterwards, I have to deal with it as if I did it. No one did anything to me. You're not a fucking victim. You made a shitty decision. Now live up to it. It's not easy. But even in the shittiest moment, you have people that will support you. And when you find those people, treat them well. Make them know how much you appreciate them. In any way that you're able to. In a way that they will recognize. Make sure you take that into account, because that's not something I took into account. I was talking to that one person who was like, oh, how can I show my appreciation? And she said, wait. And show your appreciation in a way that they'll recognize. I was like, God damn, this is why I love talking to people. She is so switched on. That is brilliant. We always thank people in a way that we want to be thanked. Well, guess what? When you thank someone in the way that you want to be thanked, they might not even see that as a thank you. Because that's not their language. Say thank you in their language. And I don't know what that means. I'm throwing a lot of shit out there. But it's shit you got to think about. Oh, I have this friend. This is how you ordinarily thank them. But are they really receptive to it? Or would they like it better if I did something that they would have done for me? Or something that they truly enjoy? Something that you probably don't. Being selfless. To give some support back to your support network. Anyway, I know I've been kind of I've been here and there and everywhere in this, but I still feel good about it. I feel good about everything right now. Feelings change. If you're feeling shitty, just wait. It's not real. It'll go away, it'll pass. Just have something, an idea, a hope, a prayer that you can cling to in the meantime to get you through the rough patch. Because your emotions will change if you just accept them for what they are and you don't say, why am I feeling like that? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter why you're feeling like that. You just are. And you need to accept it. That was what I learned during my last and recent transformation. Celebrate your emotions. Don't fight them. And know that they'll change. Other than that, all you can do is act with an intention of love. And, like I said, these are daily principles that I repeat to myself 3 times a day. And I fucked it up. Oh, I cocked it up good. And it could have cost me a lot. Could have cost me everything, in fact. It could have compromised everything I've done. Is it worth it? No, it's not. It's not worth it. I could have been, I don't even want to talk about it. Nothing's worth it. Here's what is worth it. Become a humble chemist. set boundaries, and just love. Just love people. And recognize the love that you're given. Because it's everywhere if you choose to see it. But you gotta have your fucking eyes open. Wake up. Wake up. Don't be asleep. Take responsibility for your decisions and actions. Don't be a victim. Wake up. And love yourself. Because you were born to be flawed. And you were born to learn. And you were born to experience. So, just do it.